A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Videshni Sadish Kumar.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
The government decides to call public servants to duty as usual from Monday. The President directs officials to conduct a census on people who have not received vaccines. Educational scholarships awarded to Buddhist monks and lay students at Piriven in remote areas. Ishalini's body has been taken to the Peradini Teaching Hospital for second post-mortem. Minister Basil Rajapaksa assures to provide maximum facilities to reactivate tourism industry. 27 corona patients found from the Olympic village. For the first time, Sri Lanka beats India in a T20 series.
On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with local stories. The government has taken steps to call all public servants to duty as usual from the 2nd of August. President Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara has informed Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration and Provincial Councils J.J. Ratnasiri in this regard. A higher percentage of the population who should be vaccinated covering all districts has been given vaccines. The statements issued by the President's Media Division said that priority should be given to maintain public service as usual since a majority of public servants have been vaccinated. The President's Secretary has informed to cancel all circulars issued to call a limited number of stars on alternative basis and to work from home to control COVID pandemic. The percentage of persons received at least one dose of vaccine on the population more than 30 years of age has increased to 79.82. The highest number of vaccine doses has been given in the Western Province, which is 87.88. At least one dose of vaccine has been given to 93.77 in the Gampaha district, 86.35% in the Kaludara district, and 82.94% in the Colombo district. The highest number of vaccine doses has been given in the Mandalay district. At least one vaccine dose has been given to 97.84% in the Kandy district, 91.78% in the Hambantota district, 86.46% in the Mathura district, 80.12% in the Mana district, and 80.72% in the Nuwara Eliya district. Sri Lanka has become first in the world for rapidly vaccinating people. It has been revealed by an international survey. Our World Day Institute, affiliated to Oxford University, UK, has conducted the survey using data in more than 100 countries. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has directed officials to conduct a census on people who have not received vaccines covering all areas of the country. Following a study on COVID infection and deceased, it has been found nearly 95% of them has not received the vaccines. The President pointed out the need to examine persons who have not obtained vaccines and to encourage them to get inoculated. The President has instructed officials to conduct a census at district secretariats levels and to provide a report on persons who have not received vaccines within few days. The President mentioned this during a meeting this afternoon with the Special COVID Prevention Committee on Vaccination and Future Operations. Minister Pavitra Vanniyarachchi says that Sri Lanka is expected to get 728,468 AstraZeneca vaccine doses tomorrow. The vaccines are scheduled to be received as a donation from Japan under COVAX facility. 1,635 COVID-19 patients were detected from the country today. Meanwhile, 1,716 patients left the hospital today following the complete recovery.
Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemantha Herath, says that proper health protective measures should be followed to prevent getting infected from COVID-19. It is compulsory to wear face masks. He said that as citizens, people have a responsibility to support to prevent the spread of the virus.
We are expecting another much awaiting consignment of AstraZeneca vaccine very soon. We are hoping to get this today midnight or tomorrow, and this will be used to immunize the people as the second dose of AstraZeneca, those who have got the first dose, especially in the western province, and this will be immediately disposed as and when we received. The relevant medical officers of health or the health staff in your area will inform you when to come and where to come, and based on that information we would like to request the public, without rushing into those places, get the vaccine without any delay, but do not rush to those places and create unnecessary problems, basically because we are expecting sufficient quantity of vaccines to cover the number of people who are supposed to get this second dose. We have health ministry, and probably everyone now knows that there has been significant increase of new cases reporting in a given day, as well as the number of deaths also gone up from average 40s into 60s. We have to take this very serious situation. Can be normal ups and downs that can be observed in an epidemic. However, we should not be complacent and we should not take this lightly, as the number of cases reported, especially in the western province, has gone up, and this can end up in a much more serious situation, leading to imposing of further travel restrictions and other tightening of health guidelines. So therefore, I would like to urge the public to take all possible precautions to prevent the spread of disease by adhering to the simple health guidelines declared by the health ministry, and these guidelines need to be adhered to by everyone irrespective of their social status. All citizens of the country should adhere to these health guidelines and make sure that they are protected from the disease as well as protect others from getting the disease. And also I would like to urge the public, not only the AstraZeneca but also there are other vaccine driving now going on, and everyone who are eligible to get this vaccine should without any further delay get the vaccine, especially those who are above 60 need to get the vaccine as soon as possible to prevent any possible complications of disease if they acquire the disease.
And meanwhile, Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology Institute of Sri Jawaharlal University has conducted a research to check how many antibodies will remain after 16 weeks of giving the first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine. They have used 553 persons for this research.
Study findings which we carried out recently. One is on healthcare workers whom received AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine, and we have recruited 655 individuals when they were given the vaccination back in February and March, and we have assessed the immunogenicity among them after 1 month, and we observed that the immunogenicity is very good with regard to Covishield vaccination after 28 days, and we found that 93.4% developed antibody response against SARS-CoV-2 virus after inoculation of the Covishield vaccine, and also we found that 97.1% had neutralizing antibodies. Those are the ones we say the good antibodies which will give you protection against contracting the bad disease or prevent you dying from the disease. Although the healthcare workers received a second dose on time, we had about good 500,000 people who did not receive the second dose of AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine. Now, there were various claims mentioning that one dose is enough, even the protection will last for 6 months, maybe 1 year, and we did not have our own data. So we wanted to find our own data with our people. So that's why we wanted to investigate the immunogenicity of the vaccine after 16 weeks and beyond, and that's why we conducted this study. And for this study we had 553 people participating, giving voluntarily participating and giving us blood to investigate the antibodies and T and B cell responses. And from this study we found that about 93% of the individuals developed, they had antibodies even at 16 weeks and beyond. So we found that from 4 weeks to 16 weeks there is a significant reduction of the neutralizing antibodies. Those are the good antibodies which will reduce the protection against the currently circulating variants, especially the alpha and delta variants. So we wanted to answer the question whether do we have enough memory cells to generate antibodies when we get the second dose. So for that we assessed the existing memory T and B cell responses in this cohort who received single dose at 16 weeks and beyond, and we found that they had very good memory T and B cell response which can be boosted with a booster dose. So that is an important finding from this study. When they get the second dose, there is a theoretical possibility that they will produce enough antibodies to give protection against different variants. We need to do further studies to confirm that they have developed antibodies in a future occurrence, so that we need to wait for them to receive the second dose so that we can compare with this cohort with the healthcare workers, so that we can compare and see which group has a better immunogenicity with two different dosing schedules. So we will have that information in the future when we take another sample to assess the antibody responses after the second vaccination. And apart from that, we have observed that at 16 weeks the neutralizing antibody against variants were almost negligible, which increases a person's risk of getting a COVID infection, especially with the new variant. You need to be very careful and you need to adhere to all the necessary precautions to not contract the new variants until you get the second dose of the vaccine. With single dose, it will give about 33% protection against, especially against Delta variant. Getting two doses is absolutely essential. And the other important thing is you cannot mix and match with other vaccines like Sinopharm, but although there are data to support that AstraZeneca can be mixed with Pfizer, there are no data to support that the AstraZeneca can be mixed with Sinopharm. So that's not an option. So you need to get the second dose. I know Sri Lanka will be getting the next shipment in about another 1 or 2 days. So with that, whenever you get the chance, go ahead and get the vaccination as early as possible when your turn comes.
Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana says that police have taken 113 persons into custody during the last 24 hours for violating quarantine regulations. Accordingly, a total of 52,626 persons have been arrested thus far for such violations.
113 persons have been arrested in respect of the offences of face mask, social distancing, the offences of quarantine rules and regulations for a period of last 24 hours. Total number of 52,626 suspects have been arrested in connection with the same offences since the 30th of October 2020 to date. We are conducting continuous quarantine operations across the country, and we have filed charges against approximately 48,000 suspects since the 30th of October 2020 to date. We are going to file another 3,500 claims against the suspects who have committed offences under the quarantine law. In addition to that, provincial quarantine order remains as it is. Therefore, everyone should adhere with quarantine order, and the general public are not allowed to cross provincial borders. However, they can cross the borders to attend the funeral of their close relatives or for medical treatment. In addition to that, 8,307 persons have been checked at the entry and exit points of Western Province yesterday, along with 4,226 vehicles. In addition to that, 290 persons have been admonished and they have been sent back to their original places, along with 175 vehicles as they were trying to cross the provincial border. We are conducting continuous quarantine operations across the country. Wear a face mask all the time and respect the concept of social distancing, adhere with quarantine rules and regulations.
Moving to the world update of the COVID-19 pandemic, Tokyo Olympic organizers have reported 27 new games related to COVID-19 cases today, including 3 athletes. The latest daily cases have boosted the total games-linked infections to 220. Tokyo Olympic organizers reported that more than 80% of the athletes and coaches who are residing in the village are being vaccinated against the coronavirus, as testing is compulsory and movement is stringently curtailed. Organizers have administered nearly 275,000 tests, with athletes screened daily and journalists tested before events and even 4 days in the press center. Meanwhile, the government of Japan has proposed states of emergency through the end of August in 3 prefectures near Olympic host Tokyo, as well as in the western prefecture of Osaka, as cases spiked to record highs. Daily cases in Japan has reached a record high of 10,743 after the Tokyo metropolitan government reported more than 3,800 new infection cases in the capital. Asian countries from Australia to Japan and the Philippines have announced trigger virus restrictions as to battle worsening coronavirus outbreaks driven by the more contagious Delta variant. The region's low vaccination rates have left hundreds of millions of people exposed to the highly transmissible variant. South Korea has announced today that the country is planning to expand its coronavirus vaccine rollout to people aged 18 to 49 as the country grappled with a record high case driven mostly by infections in unvaccinated younger population. South Korea has been struggling to boost its immunization drive and supply shortages of shipment delays. South Korea's Disease Control and Prevention Agency has reported that the country aims to immunize over 70% of September as it vaccinates the 18 to 49-year-olds in August. Sydney, which is already under a lockdown, is now facing its toughest measures yet, including mandatory testing in the worst affected suburbs, while the Philippines announced a plan out to put the Manila capital town home to more than 13 million people and lock down for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, neighboring India has reported 44,230 new COVID-19 cases during the past 24 hours, the most in 3 weeks, the latest evidence of a worrying trend of rising cases that has forced southern Kerala state to lock down and aim fear of another wave of infections. And meanwhile, the government has taken steps to award scholarships to Buddhist monks and lay students who are studying at Pirivan in remote areas. Apart from scholarships, computers, educational equipments and footwear are to be donated. Inauguration ceremony to present scholarships to places today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the temple trees. Novice monks and lay students in the Uva, North Central, Sabaragamuwa, Northern and Eastern provinces and Hambantota district were offered scholarships. 30 million rupees have been allocated by the State Ministry for Dhamma schools, Pirivan and Bhikkhu education in this regard. 20 Buddhist monks who have scored highest marks in final examinations were offered foreign scholarships. Aesthetic equipment valuing 12 million rupees has been donated to Pirivan under the program. The President launched the official website of the Dhamma schools, Pirivan and Bhikkhu Education State Ministry. Director of Pirivan, Venerable Vatinapana Somananda Thera, Venerable Balangura Sobita Thera, Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera, Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Thera, the Mahasangha, Minister G.L. Peiris, State Ministers Vijit Berugoda, Susil Premajant, Pial Nishanta, Vidura Vikramanayaka, Sita Aramipola and a group of state officials attended the ceremony.
Body of Ishalini Jude, who died while in domestic service at the house of MP Rishad Batiuddin, was brought to Peradeniya Teaching Hospital today for the second post-mortem. The body, which was buried at Hatton Dayagama Estate Public Cemetery, was exhumed around 8:30 am under the supervision of Norelia Magistrate Lushaka Kumari Dharmakirti and 3 judicial medical officers. Before opening the coffin, Magistrate Lushaka Kumari Dharmakirti asked the relatives of Ishalini whether there are any objections to open it to identify the body. The relatives said they do not have any objections. Thereafter, the coffin was opened. The body was taken this afternoon to Peradeniya Hospital under heavy police protection. The second post-mortem is scheduled to be conducted by 3 judicial medical officers. People at Uva Paranagama Alagolla Estate conducted a protest today demanding justice for the girl. They came in a procession starting near Alagolla Kovil and conducted a protest at Alagolla Junction. They demanded to expedite investigations and to give maximum punishments to offenders. A prayer for gods requesting punishments for those who harassed the girl was held this morning at Alpitia, Ketandola Sri Mattukumari Amman Kovil. It has been organized by the Low Country Estate Workers Union.
And the Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa says that the government is prepared to continuously provide facilities to reactivate tourism industry in the wake of global pandemic. The minister mentioned this during a discussion today at the Finance Ministry with the stakeholders of the tourism industry. Tourist hotel owners, airline agents and travel agencies were represented at this discussion. Recalling the steps taken to overcome the challenge when the tourism industry collapsed during the wartime, the minister said it would be possible to overcome the present situation with a short period of time. Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that steps will be taken to educate other countries on the progress of the vaccination program and the local COVID situation. He said that discussions would be held with the countries which have imposed travel restrictions to get them relaxed. It was emphasized the need to implement an integrated program when issuing information related to COVID situation and the vaccination program. The minister pointed out it was possible to achieve a significant growth in export earnings within 2 months. Representatives of tourist hotel associations said that they are prepared to support the government. The finance minister pointed out the need to introduce concessionary packages to attract tourists. Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that everything that has to be done to normalise tourism industry and to earn revenue will be done by the government. He said that the vaccination program is proceeding well, exceeding expectations. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi, Prasanna Ranatunga, State Ministers Ajit Niwad Kabral, Vimala Veera Dissanayake, D.V. Chanaka, Priyanka Rajaratne and a group of state officials attended the discussion.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party and former President Maithripala Sirisena says that SLFP became weak by working together with the United National Party. He mentioned this to media after Puttalam District Balamandala meeting of the SLFP. Former President Maithripala Sirisena said that people bring down political parties, which happens to all parties. He said that by working together with the UNP, when he was the president, the party became weak. He further said that they will join with progressive political parties to become stronger.
12 new houses and new office building of Kanugahabeva Vidyalaya at Kabadigo-Lava Kanugahabeva Model Village built by Sri Lanka Air Force vested with the public yesterday. The project was implemented on an assurance given by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to the people at the 4th program of Gama Samaga Pilisantara program series. 13 houses which were built earlier were vested with the public under the first phase. 12 houses built under the second phase of the program were vested with the public yesterday with the participation of Minister Namal Rajapaksa. Dhamma School building of Abhinavarama Temple at Kanuga, however, has been renovated. Construction of houses and renovations took place to coincide with the 70th anniversary of Sri Lanka Air Force. Sports gear for students were also donated. Minister S.M. Chandrasena, State Minister Shan Semasinghe, Anuradha Jaratne, Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Patirana were present on this occasion.
Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala says priority has been given to provide necessary funds for vaccination even amid a shortage of foreign exchange. He mentioned this during a media briefing at the Government Information today. Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala said that they have been able to keep interest rates stabilized to manage interest expenditure. 53 billion rupees had been spent for COVID vaccines by July. Finding money for vaccines is considered as a priority.
තමයි මං හිතන්නේ අපිට තියෙන මේ මාවත මේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නෙන් ගොඩ එන්න.
Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, also expressed views about regulations related to letter of credit.
Stop issuing LC. Central Bank has not given that except for few items. For example, cars from last, that is 2020 March 19, the Central Bank has issued guidelines, issued circulars to the bank not to open LCs to bring vehicles. Then there were certain other items that were prohibited. Prohibited in a sense, temporarily suspended. But gradually, they have removed those things. So except for gold and vehicles, and other one is style, I think, some few items, quality in some things are there, banks can open LCs. But banks, sometimes some banks at certain point, they must be telling, okay, no, today we can't open LC because of the dollar issue, right? That is the thing. So it's not a general thing. Nobody has given instructions to stop issuing LC. So banks, considering they are normally when LC is open, when the goods come, they have to pay, right? So it's not today itself, right? Sometimes because of the early LCs that they have opened and they have to honor those, because their dollar amount is not enough for that, then they will say, okay, no, today I am not going to open LC. Maybe next week. You know, that's how I think this issue has come. There's no instruction. There is no instruction given. Don't open LC.
And meanwhile, the government has commenced purchasing paddy in the Yalla season. 23 storage facilities of Paddy Marketing Board in the Polonnaruwa district have been prepared to store paddy. The government has decided to purchase a kilogram of nard rice for 50 rupees and a kilogram of samba rice for 52 rupees. A reporter says that there are private sectors is also purchasing paddy at government rates. Stores of the Paddy Marketing Board have been stepped up with each divisional secretariat of the Polonnaruwa district.
Minister Nama Rajpaksa says that a program has already been prepared to take sports persons to international level, going beyond national level victories. The sports minister mentioned this while attending National Sports Day ceremony. Duncan White won the first Olympic medal for Sri Lanka. He has won the silver medal in 400 meters hurdles on 31st July. Therefore, that day has been declared as the National Sports Day. Ceremonies have been organized today at the Independence Square and Torrington grounds. The theme of this year's National Sports Day is Sports for Everyone. Wellness programs have been organized by the Sports Ministry and Sports Development Department this morning. The song produced using national-level sportspersons was launched this morning at the Sports Auditorium. 20 national sports associations and introduction of their games took place this afternoon.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.